Oh man, I've got a juicy one for you today. Today we're listening to Pandemonium Abyssos 8. This is the OST from the last fight of the Pandemonium raids. So spoiler if you're not there. It's tough with these spoilers, but I want to protect you. Let's dive in. This is all about Ascian juiciness. This is all about Ascian. Well, you know what? I'm going to keep it. Let's go. Right there. We enter with Ascian 1.0 music without shadow, which we've been hearing for an eternity. Listen to this. Understand and remember that this music is the Ascian theme song, which is so appropriate given everything we've experienced in Elpis, given everything we've experienced up until the end of Endwalker and through this Pandemonium raid, especially because we have this connection to La Habrea, who plays such a vital part of A Realm Reborn. Let's keep listening to Embers. First of all, we look at the instrumentation. We've got bass guitar, electric guitar. It sounds like almost like a harpsichord, which I think is throwing us back to the ancient civilization with the Ascians and with the ancients. And then you also have this drummer that's tearing up the floor. And all that's doing is making our hearts pump while we fight this incredibly difficult boss. Honestly, I fought this boss once this week when the 6.2 came out, and this is the first time I'm really listening to it with good headphones and really exploring it. And so it's amazing because I remember being so tense because it's not necessarily an easy fight. It's a pretty hard fight. Especially when you're a casual player like me who just loves doing the content but hasn't necessarily done any savage or extreme raids. So even this normal difficulty, this in Pandemonium 7, which you know if you know, were very hard. And so this momentum just kind of lights you up a little bit, you know? Wait, do you hear that? I'm just noticing that. There's a little bit of this glissando in there that almost sounds like the Crystal theme. I don't know that it necessarily is. That's cool. Yeah. Now that, before we shift into the next phase, that's actually Thunderer from that scene with Thancred near the end of A Realm Reborn, where we fight La Habrea the first time. Check this out. So it's so cool because it's this like full circle leitmotifs, baby. That's what I'm talking about. This is the cool thing about Soken and about everybody that's working at the Square Enix, music program. It's all about leitmotifs and throwing it back. I mean, this is like such a quintessential thing that occurs. And if you've seen my Soken and leitmotifs video, which is somewhere up here, that is what I'm talking about. This is something that we heard in like 2014 or 13-14, and then now, literally almost 10 years later, or 8 years later, I should say, now we're having that again. And we're having this entire pandemonium thing that's about La Habrea's family. And we've learned all this depth, just in the way that we learned about Emet-Selch and Hythlodaeus and Hermes. Now we've really sort of wrapped around La Habrea story-wise. And so it's cool to go back to those themes. That's actually from Academia Anator theme, or Anator. I actually haven't done this dungeon, but Academia Anator, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, that's actually really interesting because it's not dissimilar to Pandemonium. And I think actually they mention it in the Pandemonium story. I can't remember off the top of my head, but here's what the Final Fantasy Wiki has to say. In a quiet corner of Amarat stands an unremarkable entrance to a most remarkable institution, the Academia Anator. Within its hallowed halls, the star's ancient overseers toil to perfect the godlike art of creation magics, their research and experiments bringing into existence myriad forms of fantastical life. Yet even if these creations be not but reflections of reality, mere phantasms woven from aether, the techniques which engender such miracles are a source of undeniable power. Step now across the threshold and behold the glories of a civilization lost to the ages. That ties into everything we've just experienced in Pandemonium, except much earlier in a way. Well, actually, probably around the same time period, but much in a different corner, and I think and this was sort of a remodeling of Pandemonium, if I recall. So it must be further into the future. But that music sounds like this. So we have this jazz rendition of the Ascian theme, which is already a variation on the original Ascian theme to begin with, without Shadow. To then we have Shadows Withal, and then now we throw it all back, all together into Embers, which is freaking cool. I could listen to that on repeat over and over and over because it's sick and it's exhilarating, and that's exactly what this fight is. It's like on the edge of your seat, enthralling, invigorating, and seriously precarious, especially when you're first learning the mechanics. What I think is really cool here is that throughout this entire piece, the Ascian theme serves two purposes. On the one hand, it's actually an ostinato. It's not necessarily a melody. It's sort of this thing that's playing in the background that is helping elevate the drama, right? But then you shift into Thunderer, which is the same theme, but then suddenly, not only do you have Without Shadow underneath supporting Thunderer, but then you also have Thunderer over top as the main melody. It's the same freaking music. It's the same melody, but serving two different purposes. Then you have this big epic classical choral, then you pivot and you've got Shadows Withal, which is the jazz version of the exact same freaking thing. All of them serving different purposes story-wise, but all coming together into this perfect moment in Pandemonium where we wrap it all up with a bow and send it off on its way. It's freaking cool. It's so cool. Ah, man. This music, man, it's just like punches you in the face. It's so good. I love Final Fantasy XIV so much. It's like my home away from home. It's my home safe game. It's my safe game. It's my happy place. And it has gotten me through some total crap this year. And I'm so grateful for it. And I've never been caught up with patch content before. So I'm just enthralled. So as always, thanks a ton. And hey, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.